like your take on boobies. And I like boobies.
Gun, higher.
I am the high.
Don't
Test
higher.
gun. I am the high gun.
Don't
Test me.
I am the
I am the higher gun who bout to set it off. Watch me leap from the top with the coup de grace. It's scary hours for you and all of y'all. How you want a submission to pinfall? I am the higher gun who bout to set it off. Watch me leap from the top with the coup de grace. It's scary hours for you and all of y'all.
And welcome to the TurnBuckle Talk podcast with your host, the Hired Gun. First, like, subscribe, share. How y'all doing, y'all? So, let's talk about it. So, we got into Monday and Tuesday. And some Wednesday with AEW. Let me talk about AEW right quick and get that out of the way. So, the last 2 weeks, they've had this theme, this 4-hour block hour stuff, right? And I watched 3 hours. No, I watched 2 hours last week. I didn't attempt to try to watch the last 2 hours, and then I tried to watch some of it this week. I watched the first 2 hours, like I did. You know, I watched Dynamite, right? And that's all I can do. Now, you know, like I told the wife, right? If this was a WWE, if this was WWE, I would have watched all 4 hours, no problem. Now, does that make me a mark? Little, because I can't watch no 4 hours of wrestling or anything else besides WWE. Now, when I told the wife this last night about, I like AEW, I do. I like it, and I named off the wrestlers. I named off Samoa Joe. I named off Ricochet. I named off Adam Cole, Roderick Strong. And then, like, now all these got a pattern. And you know, my wife is a casual wrestler. It's like she watches wrestling here and there, right? But she's a casual wrestler. But she even caught on to the names I was in. She caught on before I caught on, right? All the wrestlers I named, Swerve, right? All these wrestlers I named used to be in WWE, right? The only wrestlers I named that wasn't was Will Ospreay, right? So, and then and don't get me wrong, the 30-minute match with Will Ospreay and Will Ospreay and Swerve was great. It was great. I hated it was going to be a draw, but which I called. Once they started naming the time and how long it was going to go, like, I knew then. Oh, I knew then that it was gonna go on the draw, and that's probably the second draw they've ever had. The other one was MGF and no. I'm wrong. They have had a draw before, but I can't remember what the draw was because what I was for the name was Omega, not Omega, Will Ospreay and MJF. But no, MJF won that match, Like, it came down to the end, but he won the match. So I don't know what other match they had that was a draw that I'm thinking about. But they've had a draw before. Maybe MJF was in that one there, and Will Ospreay wasn't. But my point is this: like, and I know AEW is trying to test something to see if they can do this whole 4-hour block hour, and in the future, because it can't just be they're trying to avoid the whole NBA thing. So that's not true. That's not true because the NBA was on last night. So if they was trying to avoid collision, for losing fans or anything like that, because the NBA that wasn't going to work because the NBA was on last night. So if it was on Saturday, it was gonna be on last night too. So that can't be the case. Like, that can't be the case. That can't be it. Alright, maybe they testing to see what's gonna happen when they lose, when TNT and CBS lose, not CBS, TNT loses in the NBA this year. But maybe they kind of try that out and see how it works, and see how many people tune in for 4 hours of AEW. Because again, I watched 3 hours of SmackDown with no problem. No problem. So if they added another hour, it wouldn't bother me. And there's certain wrestlers in AEW I just don't get two shits for. So there's that too, right? But nonetheless, AEW for the 2 hours I watched was decent. Decent. I mean, I enjoyed, like I said, the Will Ospreay and Swerve match. I enjoyed the Hurt Syndicate, which is another product I like from them, but it's not from them. It's older. Besides MJF, to an extent, like. So all right, let me get off that. So Monday, R-Truth, Truth Killings, which he just did something recently. I mean today, like he went on Buster Open, and the more you listen to R-Truth right now, or Ron Killings right now, the more it's more of him losing it. Because think about it, when he was a heel before, right? He had, when he was a heel and he lost it then. This is when he started seeing little Jimmy. This is when he started seeing stuff and getting the wrong gimmick of matches, or the wrong town, or the wrong name of the show, or SmackDown, or just the wrong person in general, right? Right. So, like, this is another, like, we can call this shit schizophrenia. What are you going through right now? When he had different personalities and shit. Because the more you hear him, the more it sounds like it. So Monday, he came out of nowhere because like I put my head down, like it was Bailey, like it was Becky, Bailey, and Becky and Bailey were in the ring, then they wasn't in the ring, and then all of a sudden, like, I put my head down, I turned my head, all went in the kitchen. Something happened, but what I'm saying, it didn't take that long for me. Uh, it didn't take that long for our truth to just to pop up. He popped up. He was on the standing on the announce table, and he was talking. He was doing his promo, and he cut his hair off. Right. So I said this Monday. I said this Monday that we're not gonna get funny or truth anymore. That's not gonna happen anymore. Alright? Alright? And some people gonna want that. I said this before. I said our truth did not like being the funny guy all the time. Alright? He said it in a promo. Not a promo. He said it in a question and answer thing to the to his fans, right? And twice a fan asked him about his character, and twice he answered it in a way that lets you know he didn't like that character anymore, or he wished he was a different character. Right, right, and I'm pretty sure R-Truth or whatever you want to call him, right? Ron Killings, right? I'm sure he was in the back and he was pitching stuff to the creative, and they was telling him no, right, right, and they was telling him no, and or telling him like the funny guy gets over more than anything. Right? They can't say that anymore now. Like they can't say this is what works when your promo of you cutting your hair and you being serious has more likes and views than CM Punk and John Cena going back and forth in a promo, right? On the same fucking night. We can't say he can't get over it being Ron the Truth Killings. That can't happen anymore. Now, can he do it again? Is the question. Now, him cutting his hair, listen. Whenever he went to that hairdo and it showed his head and everything, I could have told you then it was time to cut that hair. Right? I could have told you then it was time to let that hair go. Like, when he cut it. Now, it still don't look good, but I don't think he cared about that part. It was more of a statement. Which is nothing wrong with having a statement of your new character. Now, I say new, but he had this character in TNA. You know, and you know, he got over there. But smaller crowd, wasn't live, still got over it. Because he was a two-time NWA champion. Hell, I give you one better. True, whenever True goes to TNA, because they want to sign him too, right? Whenever he goes to TNA, because I don't think this is a long-term deal with WWE. I think this is a send-off more than anything. But whenever he goes to AEW, I mean, even AEW, but whenever he goes to TNA, R-Truth is going to be TNA champion. We won't have to worry about. We won't have to worry about splitting it up. NWA / AEW. I mean NWA / TNA World Heavyweight Champion. No. He will be World Champion again. All right. So he changed his name. So whenever, because I'm pretty sure he couldn't use R-Truth when he leaves WWE. So he got it. So when he leaves, or his contract expires this time, he can leave his Ron the Truth Killings and just keep it going if he wants to. So, um, I, he's gonna get a push, right? It's gonna be more, oh, it's gonna be way more than what he was getting, right? Like, because once you say he was getting a push when he was gearing up for John Cena, right? Which John Cena has 19 more dates. And that matches dates. This is what matters here. Alright? Because John Cena should show up and that wrestle like Monday. He showed up, he didn't wrestle. He promoed, alright, and that was it. So that's 19 dates. So we don't know if we're gonna see him anymore besides that Saudi. So let's say we don't, and we see him at Saudi, right? The Russell CM Punk, which again, the worst thing about this, about John Cena being champ and being heel, right? Which again, he's not gonna finish off these dates being a heel. That's just not gonna happen. But the worst thing about it is he's not committed the whole time. Alright? And he tells you this. Alright? Because he has dates. Now, whether they can mess around with these dates and add more here and there, who knows? Alright? But the worst thing about this is when he has a feud with somebody like CM Punk or Randy Orton or R-Truth or Cody, right? They're pretty much doing the feud by themselves half the time because he's not there. Because he has dates, he has dates, and he's going by his dates, and then half the other time he's doing his movies, right? Or his commercials. So it's the worst part about him being champ. It's the worst part about him about his feuds because he's almost never there, and then you gotta rush shit when he's there to make shit make sense. Now, the best thing I can tell you, whether it's Orton, R-Truth, Cody, and now CM Punk, they can carry a show. They can carry a show. So if we don't see him the next 3 weeks, and then we see him at Saudi, that'll be 18, and then he'll probably show up afterwards again, 17. All right. So let me say something about CM Punk right quick. So we knew that CM Punk was showing up in Saudi weeks ago, because he was in the trailer for it, right? So, and then of course, what made it worse is Cena pretty much took a jab at Punk, which I'm sure Punk knew that was gonna happen, right? And I'm quite sure CM Punk knows that certain people are gonna take jabs at him because of what he said to the Miz about blood money. You can take it ... blood money, alright? But we knew, like I just said, we knew weeks ago that this was happening, right? Right? But fuck that. We knew when CM Punk came back that there was a good chance that he was on the sign. I mean, he was gonna wrestle in Saudi. Like, we knew then, right? Like we knew that there was a real good chance that shit was gonna happen. But you you got certain flaky fans, right, and fans in general, that always don't bring some shit up, alright? And then when they bring shit up, or when they bring stuff up, alright, and you call them out on it, the first thing they want to say is, oh, excuse me for having an opinion. Yeah, listen, opinions don't matter sometimes. Alright? Opinions, everybody got one. Don't mean, it don't make them right. Alright? Now, is he a hypocrite? Sure. Sure. Alright? Because then you're calling Kevin Owens one, you're calling Sammy one, right? You're calling those because they said they wasn't going over there. And they over there. This is money talk. Money talk. Like these every time they go over there, these matches get bigger and bigger. Right? They're gonna have a Royal Rumble over there pretty soon, right? And then eventually they're gonna have a Mania over there. So you telling me because of what Punk said like 10 years ago that he can't go over there and make some money and miss Mania? No. Now I will say this about Punk now. It look like they're shifting to CM Punk and Seth Rollins thing, which they could have been did that. They could have been. They didn't have to keep going with the story with CM Punk and stuff, right? But it looked like they shift that because he didn't show up Saturday to get in the way of stuff, right? And they didn't keep going with it Monday, right? It's like they want to move on from it, which is cool. It doesn't mean CM Punk's gonna win against John, but hey, we're here, right? So, and then you knew eventually that CM Punk was gonna go after John Cena anyway, because CM Punk has taken jabs at Cena a couple times. See, he's taking jabs at The Rock, Cena, the higher ups. He's taking taunting like at least 3 times. He's done that, So it was time to make this happen anyway. Now, what you can tell, shit got shifted because of the fact that shit got shifted because of our truth, all right? But you can tell because Cody pins Cena on Saturday. He pinned him, right? There was no mention of that. And CM Punk got the title shot, not Cody. So they're shifting it. Now, it lets you know that CM Punk's not winning. Alright? Because if you do, then he gotta move to SmackDown. Which okay. And then they shift the draft. I forgot what date they said the draft was gonna be on. But they shifted the draft, and that's why they didn't call up certain people yet, because they still want to have room for a call up for people on the draft. So like you gotta worry about that. Yeah, it is. So you got to worry about the draft now, right? And who you call up now because of the fact that you got the draft coming. The draft coming up. That's why Jordan Grace probably didn't get called up, because you still got room. You still got room for people that you still have room for people to get called up. This is why Trick didn't get called up right away. This is why Jordan didn't get called up. Oh, speaking of NXT, we got a name change. Uh, Mariah May is no more. Now it's Blake Monroe. Which the Blake part, she said that's dedicated to her niece. Okay. The Marilyn Monroe part, the more come on, that was gonna happen. Now you got some people saying that she's copying Tony Storm. We'll see. We'll see. Cause I'm not saying she is. But we'll see about that. Alright. But name change. And I don't care. Like I don't. I mean a name change is a name change. So it is what it is. Alright, let me get the J before I go. On this. Jay lost clean too. Now, they babied it up about him losing. Like they said, it was his ribs. He was banged up. He been wrestling nonstop. You know who been wrestling? You know who been wrestling nonstop? All right, Stephanie Ricker. It's been wrestling nonstop. All right, she's going and going and going. So, but they're saying it was his ribs, and Jay gave it all, and he wasn't 100%. So they babied it up as much as they could. Now, saying that, what certain things, what certain things look. It looked like they're gonna tag with Jay and Jimmy back up together. Now, whatever, but it does look like that's gonna happen because at the end, when Jay lost, they got a promo. I mean, there's a promo of New Day happy and laughing that Jay lost the world title. Now, the one person that shouldn't be laughing about losing the world title, alright, is Kofi. Cause it just leave room for them to bring up him losing the belt in 5 seconds. Alright? And then so he's the last person to talk about that. But Jay lost. And then Gunther won. Now, I'm not mad about this because if Jay, like the same people that's bitching about him losing the belt in 51 days, alright, are the same people who was bitching when he won it. It's the same people. And this title reign wasn't that bad to me. Alright, and Jay could have kept the belt, but they wasn't finna have Gunther lose clean to Jay twice. It's not happening. When you look at Gunther's resume of being champ, he's always had lone title reigns. Right? They always telling you that Gunther has had these, like he's been champ longer than he's been champ for like 90% of his time being called up. Like that's just how he gonna be, and until they figure out what the fuck until they figure out what's next for him. Now, how long this was gonna be, I don't know, because what they probably gunning up for is Sammy versus Gunther, part 3 or part 4. All right, Sammy's gonna beat Gunther, maybe at SummerSlam. All right. He's gonna be happy that he's a world champion, and then you know what's gonna happen after that? Seth is gonna cash in on it at SummerSlam, and then we're gonna get Sammy versus. The Sammys don't have to chase to get the belt back at WrestleMania. That's what's gonna happen. And I don't mind it because Sammy deserves to be a champion. He does. He does. So we finna see. So I'm in the show with that. Hold on. So let me go back to Jay right quick. Jay losing. Like you hear different things about Jay losing. You hear that she's taking time off. You hear that he's injured. You hear that they'll put him back with Jimmy because Jimmy's lost right now. All right, but we'll see. I'll talk more about Jay next time. So make sure you gotta like, subscribe, share. Make sure y'all watch wrestling. Yeah, and you gotta make sure y'all watch New Breed. Told y'all last time. Fuck everybody else. Watch us. Watch us. Okay? We just came out with a new episode. Baby, we back. Alright? So just stay tuned. Like, subscribe, share. Make sure y'all watch wrestling, man. This is the High Gun. God bless. Love y'all. I'm out.